Story 1, The Motel Guest. My name's Derek, and I used to work night shifts at this shitty little motel, just outside Billings, Montana. This was back in 2018, and I was 23, fresh out of college with a useless philosophy degree and student loans that made me want to cry. The job sucked, checking in sketchy late-night travelers, doing laundry that smelled like cigarettes and bad decisions, making sure nobody was dealing drugs or fucking too loudly in the parking lot. But hell, it paid the bills and gave me time to binge Netflix on my laptop during the dead hours. The motel was one of those depressing places you see in horror movies. You know the type. All the doors facing the parking lot, flickering neon sign, probably built in the 70s and never updated. 2 stories, maybe 30 rooms total. Nothing fancy, but clean enough to attract truckers and exhausted families who just needed a cheap place to crash. The kind of place where you don't ask questions and you sure as fuck don't make eye contact. It was a Tuesday in November, around 2:30 in the morning. I remember the exact time because I just finished watching The Haunting of Hill House. Yeah, the Netflix one. And I was debating whether to start another episode or actually do some work. That's when he walked in. The guy was probably in his 50s, wearing this rumpled business suit that looked like he'd been living in it for days. His hair was all fucked up, like he'd been running his hands through it over and over. But it was his eyes that made my skin crawl. You ever see a deer that's been clipped by a car? That pure animal panic? That's what this dude looked like. "I need a room," he said, practically throwing his credit card at me. His hands were shaking so bad, the card clattered across the counter. I grabbed it, trying to act normal, even though every instinct was screaming that something was seriously wrong. William Garrett, from somewhere in Idaho, I forget the exact town. As I'm typing his shit into our ancient computer system that still ran Windows XP, he kept looking over his shoulder at the glass doors. Not casual glances, full-on paranoid, like someone was about to burst through and murder him. "Just you tonight, sir?" I asked, going through the motions, even though my voice cracked a little. "Yes, just me. I need a room on the second floor, at the end, away from the stairs." His voice was hoarse, like he'd been screaming. That was weirdly specific, but whatever. We were basically empty, so I gave him room 237. Yeah, like in The Shining, I know. Furthest room from everything. As I handed him the key card, I noticed dried blood under his fingernails and his white dress shirt. There were these dark stains on the cuffs that he kept trying to pull his suit jacket over. "Sir, is everything all right? Do you need me to call?" "No." He practically shouted it, then caught himself. "No calls. No visitors. If anyone asks for me, I'm not here. You understand? I'm not here." Before I could say anything else, he grabbed the key and bolted. I watched through the window as he took the exterior stairs 2 at a time, fumbling with the key card at his door like something was chasing him. When he finally got inside, he slammed the door so hard I heard it from the lobby. I sat there for a minute, my heart hammering. We'd had sketchy guests before, meth heads, people obviously having affairs, guys who were probably running from the cops. My manager's policy was simple. As long as they paid and didn't trash the room, mind your own fucking business. But this felt different. This felt dangerous. About an hour later, I was doing my rounds, checking the exterior lights, making sure no one was passed out in the parking lot. Typical shit. As I walked under room 237, I heard him talking. Not on the phone. I could tell because his voice kept moving around the room, and there were these long pauses like he was having a full conversation with someone. But I'd seen him go in alone, and no one else had shown up. I stood there under his window, straining to hear. His voice would get loud, then drop to a whisper, sometimes pleading, sometimes angry. Then I heard him clear as day. "I told you, she's gone. I took care of it. She can't tell anyone now. No one will find her where I put her." My blood went ice cold. I backed away slowly, trying not to make any noise. When I got back to the lobby, I grabbed my phone, then hesitated. What the fuck was I supposed to say? "Hey, 911. A guest is talking to himself about hiding a body." They'd think I was high. But then I noticed something on the security monitor. The parking lot camera had a partial view of the second floor walkway. I rewound the footage to when Mr. Garrett arrived. There, as he was fumbling with his keycard, something fell out of his pocket. I zoomed in as much as our shitty system would allow. It was a woman's driver's license. I couldn't read the name, but I could see the photo. Young woman, maybe mid-20s, blonde hair. Pretty. The kind of pretty that makes you notice when they go missing. The rest of my shift was torture. I kept glancing at the monitor showing the second floor hallway. Mr. Garrett never left his room, but I could see shadows moving past his window. Sometimes one shadow, sometimes two. Around 5:30 a.m., the sky was doing that weird pre-dawn grey thing when a car pulled into the parking lot. Not unusual. We got early morning arrivals all the time. But this car didn't park near the office. It pulled right up to the stairs leading to the second floor. A woman got out. Mid-40s, blonde hair going grey, wearing jeans and a puffy North Face jacket. She looked exhausted, like she'd been driving all night. She stood there for a moment, staring up at the second floor, then walked straight to the lobby. "I'm looking for my husband," she said without any greeting. Her voice was steady, but her hands were clenched into fists. "William Garrett, is he here? That thing about the blood draining from your face, it's real. I felt it happen. I'm sorry, Mom, but I can't. Please." Her voice cracked. "I know he's here. The credit card company called about a charge. Something happened. Something bad. I need to find him before." She stopped herself. "Room 237, I said quietly. She was out the door before I could say anything else. I watched on the monitor as she went up the stairs. But instead of going to his room, she stopped at the spot where he'd dropped the license. She bent down, picked something up, held it to the light. Then she started running. She pounded on his door, calling his name. No response. She pounded harder, screaming now. "William, open the door. I know what you did." The door opened just a crack. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I saw her shove her way inside. Silence, then screaming, not hers. I called 911. Fuck the job, fuck the policy. Something was seriously wrong. As I was talking to dispatch, trying to explain the situation, I saw movement on the monitor. Mr. Garrett was dragging something out of his room. Something wrapped in a motel bedsheet. Something person-sized. But it wasn't his wife. She was walking behind him, her face blank, like she was in shock. They made it to their car before the cops arrived. I watched them load the wrapped thing into the trunk, watched them drive away. The cops found blood in the room, a lot of it. They found the woman's driver's license on the walkway, Sarah Chen, 26, from Boise. They found her car abandoned at a rest stop 50 miles away. They never found her body. They never found the Garretts either. But here's the thing that still fucks with me. The thing that makes me check my logs 3 times every night. When the cops were processing the room, they found something else. Photos. Dozens of them, hidden behind the mirror. All women, all young, all blonde, except for Sarah. And at the bottom of the stack, a photo of me, taken from the parking lot. Recent. I was wearing the same shirt. I quit that night, moved back with my parents, got a job at a call center where the scariest thing I deal with is angry customers. But sometimes, when I can't sleep, I think about what Mr. Garrett said to his wife when she confronted him. The cops let me listen to the 911 recording, and their body cam picked up audio from inside the room. She saw us, he kept saying. She saw us together. She knew what we are. And his wife's response, calm as fuck despite all the blood. Then we'll find another one. We always do. I changed my name after that. Dyed my hair. Moved to a different state. Because I know what they are now. And worse, they know that I know. Story 2. The Night Shift. I worked at this 24-hour diner in Bumfuck, Pennsylvania for 3 years, always pulling the graveyard shift from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. The place was right off I-80, one of those classic stainless steel diners that looked like it hadn't changed since the 50s. Cracked vinyl booths, jukebox that only played oldies, coffee that could strip paint. We got a steady stream of truckers, tweakers, and people making long drives who needed caffeine and grease at ungodly hours. Most nights were predictable as hell. Same faces, same orders, same bullshit small talk about the weather, or the Eagles, or how many miles they still had to go. I knew who'd order the meatloaf special, Big Jim every Tuesday. Who'd want their eggs over easy with wheat toast, Martha, the night nurse, and who'd just sit there nursing black coffee until dawn. Too many to count. But there was this one regular who started coming in during my second year. Always between 3 and 4 a.m. Like fucking clockwork. Always sat in the same booth in the corner. The one where the light flickered, made everyone else avoid it. Always ordered black coffee and wheat toast, no butter. Dude was aggressively average, maybe early 30s, medium everything, brown hair, always wearing dark clothes, like he shopped exclusively at the Gap clearance rack. What made him memorable was that fucking notebook. This wasn't some little pocket thing. It was one of those leather-bound journals, thick as a phone book. Pages all warped like they'd been written on obsessively. He'd sit there for exactly 1 hour. I timed it, writing non-stop. Never looked up, never paused, never even shifted in his seat. His hand would cramp up, and he'd shake it out without missing a beat. Keep writing. The writing itself was bizarre. Tiny, cramped handwriting that filled every millimeter of the page. When I'd serve his order, I'd try to sneak a peek, but it was like trying to read ant tracks. Sometimes I'd catch fragments, times, dates, license plate numbers maybe, but most of it was illegible. After a few months of this shit, curiosity got the better of me. One night, as I refilled his coffee, I tried to make conversation. Working on the great American novel? I asked, going for friendly waitress banter. He looked up at me, and I swear to God, my whole body went cold. His eyes were like looking into static, technically brown, but empty. No warmth, no humanity, just observation. No, he said. His voice was flat, like text-to-speech. I'm documenting. Oh yeah, like a journal or something. He stared at me for so long I started to back away. Then, without a word, he returned to his writing. But here's the fucked up part. He turned to a fresh page and wrote something at the top. Underlined it 3 times. I saw my name, my full name. Not the nickname on my name tag, my actual legal name that I never used. After that, I gave him a wide berth, served his order, kept my mouth shut, counted the minutes until he left. But I started noticing things. He wasn't just writing. Sometimes he'd be sketching. Floor plans looked like. Sometimes he'd tape things into the notebook. Receipts, newspaper clippings, photos taken with one of those instant cameras. One night, he dropped a photo while shifting pages. It landed face up on the floor. Before he could grab it, I saw what it was. Big Jim's truck in our parking lot. But Big Jim wasn't in the shot. The photo was focused on his license plate, his DOT numbers on the door. "Excuse me," the guy said, reaching for the photo. For the first time, he showed emotion, irritation, maybe even anger. I backed off, but the damage was done. He'd noticed me noticing. This went on for months. Same routine, same booth, same obsessive writing. Then one night in February, I remember because we'd just gotten hit with a massive snowstorm. He didn't show up. Or the next night, or the next. After 2 weeks, I figured he'd moved on. Found another diner, another corner booth, another waitress to creep out. Good fucking riddance. Then I saw the news story. Body found in the woods, about 10 miles from the diner. Been there for months. Frozen solid. They showed a photo of a distinctive tattoo, hoping someone could identify the victim. An eagle holding a banner with SARAH written on it. My stomach dropped. Big Jim had that exact tattoo. His daughter's name. He'd shown it off one night, proud as hell, talking about how she'd just gotten into Penn State. But Big Jim had moved to Florida 6 months ago. New job, better pay, closer to his grandkids. We'd thrown him a little party and everything. Martha made a cake. He'd hugged everyone goodbye, promised to send postcards. The body was Big Jim. Dental records confirmed it. He'd been dead at least 6 months. I thought about Notebook Guy, about how he'd been documenting, about that photo of Big Jim's truck, about how he always sat in that corner booth with a perfect view of the entire diner, the parking lot, everyone who came and went. I called the cops, told them everything. They pulled our security footage, but the quality was shit. Could barely make out faces. The credit card he used was prepaid, bought with cash. The name he signed was J. Smith. Generic as fuck. They never found him. But they found more bodies. 3 over the next year, all in wooded areas along I-80. All people who'd gone missing over the previous 2 years. All long-haul truckers or traveling salespeople. People whose routes were predictable. People whose disappearances might not be noticed right away. People who were regulars at diners like ours. I quit after they found the 4th body. Moved back with my parents. Got a day job at a grocery store where the scariest thing I deal with is expired milk. But I can't shake what happened next. About a month after I quit, I was cleaning out my car and found something under the passenger seat. A page from a notebook, folded into a tight square. My hand shook as I unfolded it. It was a schedule. My schedule. Every shift I'd worked for the past 6 months, documented down to the minute. Notes about when I took breaks, when I counted the till, when I went out back for a smoke. Details about my car, my route home, which lights I hit and which I didn't. At the bottom, in that same cramped handwriting, project suspended, subject aware, resuming surveillance at later date. That was 2 years ago. I've moved 3 times since then, changed jobs twice. But sometimes, when I'm working late at the grocery store, I'll see someone in my peripheral vision. Someone average looking, writing in a notebook. I never look directly. I can't. Because I know if I do, I'll see those empty eyes staring back. And I'll know my later date has arrived. Story 3. The House Sitter. In the summer of 2019, I took a house-sitting gig that seemed too good to be true. Should have trusted my gut on that one. $500 a week to stay in this gorgeous Victorian house in the Berkshires. Take care of 2 cats, water some plants. That's it. The owners, the Weatherbees, were this sweet elderly couple going on a month-long cruise to Alaska. When they interviewed me, they seemed like somebody's dream grandparents, showing me wallet photos of their grandkids, fussing over whether I'd be comfortable. Mrs. Weatherby insisting I help myself to anything in the pantry. The only weird moment was when she showed me around. We got to this narrow door on the 2nd floor, and she just said, "Storage. Nothing you need to worry about." Something in her tone made it clear I shouldn't ask questions. The house was fucking incredible. 3 stories of perfectly preserved Victorian architecture, filled with antiques that probably cost more than my student loans. Oriental rugs, grandfather clock that chimed every hour, the works, the cats, muffin and scone. I know, ridiculous, were those fat, lazy types that just wanted food and the occasional head scratch. First week was like a paid vacation. I spent my days reading in the garden, hiking nearby trails, and feeling fancy as fuck, drinking wine in a clawfoot tub. I even started an Instagram series called House Sitting Like a Boss, because I'm that asshole. The house had this amazing library with first editions, a kitchen with a legit Viking range, and Wi-Fi that actually worked. Miracle for rural Massachusetts. Then I found the room. I wasn't snooping, I swear, on my grandmother's grave. It was Thursday night. I'd had a couple glasses of wine, and I was watching the Office reruns on my laptop when Scone went absolutely batshit. This cat, who hadn't moved faster than a waddle all week, suddenly bolted through what I thought was a closet door. I followed him, drunk and annoyed, and found myself in a narrow staircase I hadn't noticed before. The walls were covered in this vintage floral wallpaper that was peeling at the edges, and it smelled like nobody had been up there in years. At the top was another door, locked, with Scone pouring at it and yowling like someone was murdering him. "Chill the fuck out," I told him, but he kept at it. I figured maybe it was where they kept his treats or something, so I went hunting for keys. Found a ring in the kitchen labeled MISC in shaky handwriting. 3rd key worked. The door opened into a small, windowless room, and holy shit, I was not prepared for what was inside. The walls were covered, floor to ceiling, every inch, with photographs. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands, all of the same woman. Baby photos, school pictures, candids, professional portraits. But here's where it got creepy. A lot of them were taken without her knowledge, through windows, from across streets, with a telephoto lens. She was beautiful in that old money New England way. Blonde hair, delicate features, perfect posture. In the early photos, she looked happy. But as she got older, her smile got tighter, her eyes more guarded. In the last photos, she looked straight up, haunted. In the center of the room was a single chair facing the wall of photos. On a small table beside it, more photo albums, a silver hairbrush with blonde hair still tangled in it, a jewelry box playing a broken version of Claire de Lune. When I opened it, the air was stale and sweet, like flowers left too long in a vase. I backed out, locked the door, and tried to pretend I'd never seen it. Poured myself another glass of wine, okay, 3, and passed out watching Netflix. That night, I woke up to footsteps above me, slow, deliberate, like someone pacing. The room was directly over my bedroom. I grabbed my phone. 3:17 a.m. The footsteps continued, back and forth, back and forth. Then they stopped. I heard Scone meow. But here's the thing. Scone was in bed with me. I could feel his fat ass pressed against my leg. Both cats were accounted for. So what the fuck was walking around up there? I lay there until dawn, too scared to move. Told myself it was the old house settling, pipes or whatever. But houses don't walk. Houses don't pace. The next morning, I checked the door, still locked, exactly how I'd left it. Both cats were acting normal, begging for breakfast like nothing had happened. I almost convinced myself I'd imagined it. Then I saw the photo on my pillow. It was from the room, one of the candids. The woman at maybe 25, laughing at something off camera, unaware she was being photographed. But someone had written on the back in fresh ink, "You look just like her." I compared it to my reflection in the mirror. We did look alike. Same bone structure, same hair color. Not identical, but close enough to be sisters. Close enough to be unsettling as fuck. That night, the footsteps came earlier, 11 p.m. This time, I was brave enough, or stupid enough, to investigate. I crept up the narrow stairs, my heart hammering so hard, I thought it might explode. The door was open, not wide, just cracked. Light spilled out. I pushed it open. The room was empty, but wrong. The chair had been moved, now facing photos from the woman's teenage years. Albums were open on the table, specific pages marked with ribbons. The hairbrush had been moved to the chair seat, arranged carefully, like someone had just set it down. And there was a smell, perfume, Chanel number 5, fresh, like someone had just sprayed it. I ran. Fuck the cats, fuck the money, fuck everything. I threw my shit in my car and peeled out of there like the house was on fire. Made it about 10 miles before I realized I was being followed. Same car stayed exactly 3 car lengths behind me. When I sped up, it sped up. When I changed lanes, it changed lanes. I pulled into a well-lit gas station and it drove past, but I saw the driver. It was Mrs. Weatherby. My phone rang. Unknown number. Against every instinct, I answered. "You weren't supposed to find Rachel's room." Mrs. Weatherby's voice was calm, conversational. "But now that you have, we need to discuss your options." "What the fuck are you talking about? You look so much like her. When I saw your application, your photo, it was like she'd come back to us. Harold said I was being foolish, but I knew. A mother always knows. Lady, you're scaring the shit out of me. Come back to the house. We'll explain everything. Rachel wants to meet you properly." "Rachel, your daughter, she's..." I stopped. The photos had spanned maybe 30 years. If Rachel was still alive, she'd be in her 50s now. She's been waiting so long for a friend. Someone who understands. Someone who can take her place. I hung up, blocked the number, drove straight to my parents' house in Connecticut. Didn't stop except for gas. But when I got there, found a package on my doorstep. No postage, no delivery label. Inside, a photo album. Every picture was of me, at coffee shops, at the gym, walking to my car. Some recent, some going back years. And in every photo, there was something in the background. A shadow, a blur. Something that might have been a person, always just out of focus. The last page had a note. Rachel has been watching you for so long. She chose you herself. Please come home. I went to the police. They said without evidence of a crime, there was nothing they could do. The Weatherbys had hired me legitimately. Being creepy wasn't illegal. I moved after that, changed my phone number, deleted social media, the works. But sometimes I still get packages. No return address. Inside, photos of blonde women who look like me, like Rachel, all taken without their knowledge, all with that same shadow in the background. The most recent one came last week. It was a photo of me at my new job, taken through the window. On the back, Rachel is getting impatient. She doesn't like to wait. We'll see you soon. I'm writing this because I need someone to know. If something happens to me, if I disappear, check the Weatherby house in the Berkshires. Check the room at the top of the narrow stairs. And whatever you do, don't sit in the chair. I think that's how she gets you. I think that's how she got all of them. Because I finally did some research. Rachel Weatherby died in 1987. Car accident, according to the obituary. But here's the fucked up part. She's not the first Rachel they've had. I found death certificates going back decades. Always a daughter named Rachel. Always dying young. Always replaced. I think I know what they want me for now. And I think I know why the footsteps only come at night. The dead get lonely too.